Well, good morning, Ali. This is just today we've got Ali Brunton, who's a local young farmer. He's in the East Fife Young Farmers Club. He's chairman of SAYFC AgriAffairs Group, vice chairman last year, which was a very different year. So hopefully, Ali will have a bit more to do this year and get to see a bit more of the country and attend more events than the chairman did last year. Ali's a third generation farmer. His grandfather, I've just spoken to Ali just now, and I thought his grandfather came from the west. And I suppose Ali said he did come from the west. He came from Collinsborough to Lamont, so it's a total distance of about 2 miles, 3 miles maybe. So
Probably about, yeah, as a crow flies.
so no, so just he did go west. So what you're in East Fife Young Farmers. So why young farmers? What took you to young farmers?
So yeah, both older sisters, Leanne and Jenny, were in the club, and they kind of dragged me along. But mum and dad and granddad, they're all past members of the club. So yeah, Leanne and Jenny kind of dragged me along. Probably just a few sports nights initially. I was quite keen on my sports, so I was dragged along to sort of football and hockey, and then from there just got stuck in with other things.
It's a great way of meeting things, and I think an awful lot of people get taken along by a cousin or a brother or sister, and once they're in, they're hooked. And you said you like sport, you play rugby for the How. You know, just what are your other sports? Just what other hobbies do you have? Just to start off.
Play a bit of rugby. Yeah, obviously up at the How. Used to play, or still kind of play as well, down at the Wade in Anstruther, and played a bit when I was at uni in Glasgow. And then play a bit of golf. I'm a member out at Crail, so play golf out there, and yeah, just kind of have a go at anything really.
So I said you're chairman of the SAYC Rural Affairs, but you're also East Fife chairman. So
Yeah.
you like to keep yourself busy between your hobbies and your young farmers. Do you have any time to work?
Yeah, Dad probably has a go at me for trying to be away all the time, but yeah, no, I do get stuck in at home. So yeah, just me and Dad at home now. We'd chap Raymond, who worked for us for about 30 years, but he just retired at the end of last year.
Right.
So yeah, it's just me, Dad, and then Mum as well. Mum does quite a bit of the office work.
Yes,
so, yeah.
Just a lot of folk maybe know Ali's mum. She's sort of been with Rhett for, well, maybe not 30 years, but 20 years she's been with Rhett. She was with Forth Valley for a while, and she's been organising Fife for probably 18, 19 years, so she's Carl's well known in the area. So agri-politics, I mean, why agri-politics, agri-affairs?
I think I initially just got involved with the group because I'd been away to uni and studied sports engineering, and when I came home, working full time at home, I'd never studied agriculture, so I just initially went on a few of the AgriAffairs visits just to try and pick one or two things up, and then in 2018 I was lucky enough to be selected to go to California with the AgriAffairs group, and then off the back of that I was enjoying being involved with the group and what they had to offer, and felt I had to give a wee bit back, so went on as the district rep for Fife and Kinross, and then from there just moved up to the East Region, and then onto national after that, I guess.
I think the opportunities, when I was involved in agri-affairs many years ago, I think the opportunities are way more now than they were then. I mean, you mentioned you're out in California. There's also been a trip to New Zealand, and was there a trip to South Africa?
Yeah, there was Argentina.
Argentina.
That would be 2 trips before.
Yes,
it was Argentina, then New Zealand.
So what did you? I mean, I know 2 or 3 folk that went out the California trip, and they just thought the experience they saw and the interest that was out there. So what interested you most about California?
Just the scale of it. I mean, it was so hard to comprehend. We went to feedlots where they've got 110,000 head of cattle, and then we drove along a road, and the guy said, on this road there's 1% of the world's dairy industry on this one road.
On that one road.
It's just unbelievable, the scale and the money involved. Just crazy. And for irrigation, for the almonds, and some of these veg crops, the irrigation involved and the irrigation rights, the money involved in that is just unbelievable. And you can be driving along, and there's sort of like grandfather rights to land for irrigation. So there's sort of green pasture, and then there's sort of a farm that's just dead because it has no irrigation rights. So it's not my farm.
Without irrigation, it's just not. And when you talk about irrigation, you know, the sort of the politicians in this country, they're trying to be very green and environmental, and you know, you talk about almonds, some of these crops need a serious amount of water, and you know, you can buy milk here that's produced from a cow, whereas a lot of folk are, they're very into their almond milk, and it's a serious expense to grow, bring in water, you know.
It's not sustainable either. I mean, there's these almond, a lot of it's sort of big companies coming in, they'll buy land and they'll grow almonds for 15, 20 years, make their money and just leave the ground. And they've noticed in California that the water table it's
Going down.
It's falling.
And you know, and exactly the same with these feedlots. There has been a bit in the news lately about they want a free trade deal with Australia and bringing in Australian beef. You know, it's pretty similar to America. I don't know if Australian beef has hormones, but you know, these big feedlots, traceability, you know, vetting medicines, we have to go through all hoops. How do they look on that out there?
Yeah, I mean, well, in California, I mean, every cow in the UK's got a passport. Every cow's traced. There's nothing over there.
Nothing.
The US government have no idea how many cattle there are in the country. There's just none of that. And I mean, they never said specifically they were using hormones, but they sort of hinted towards it. Everyone's given a sort of implant on arrival, and you know, a sort of implant in its ear, and yeah, I mean, and food miles as well. I mean, why are we needing to bring in beef from, you know, the US and Australia when we've got probably as higher quality, higher standards here, beef produced on grass? It just seems crazy.
Just being devil's advocate here, I don't have much money. I want to buy my beef cheaper. If I can get Australian or American beef cheaper, or chickens from Thailand, why should I not be allowed to buy it? You know, why should the farmers in this country dictate what I buy?
I think that's probably the biggest issue we've got. It's trying to make the general public aware of what they're buying, whether, you know, sometimes it is better to spend that wee bit more on quality rather than getting sort of bang for your buck. And just making them aware of why it is more beneficial to buy local produce because of what's in it. I mean, we use far less antibiotics in our country than the US and Australia.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, but it's just a matter of fact they use antibiotics, whether it's in chickens or whether it's in hens, whether it's in pigs. It's a matter, of course, they've got antibiotics, and it's prevention. Whereas here, maybe they're dearer here, but you know, it's just cure here.
Yeah.
So you know, should young farmers, the AgriAffairs side, be putting more emphasis in the media, putting more pressure on the government, putting more pressure on the NFUS to highlight these points?
I think it's not just us, it's the whole industry. We have to work together because we're all fighting the same cause. It's, you know, we're involved, AgriAffairs, we're sort of linked with NFUS through the Next Gen group, and there's quite a lot of our members and past members moved on into that group. So we have kind of got a seat at their table, and you know, we do discuss a lot of things with NFUS, and same with QMS. You know, I sit on the Red Meat Resilience group as an SAYFC rep, which is through QMS. So we do have a seat at the table and have discussions with them. But yeah, I think it's a whole industry. We're just needing to sell our story, because it's our story that sells it at the end of the day. You know, all these local farm shops, it's the story of them that make them so successful, and it should be the whole industry selling that story.
I like to think during lockdown that a lot of people are more aware of what they're buying and where they're buying, but you know, once we get back to normal, will that continue, or will they go back to buying as cheap stuff as they can get? Or...
Yeah, I think what we saw through COVID was everyone was supporting local, even not just agriculture. It was, you know, came Christmas time, everyone was supporting small businesses, local businesses. But yeah, it was really refreshing to see, I think. And I hope it does continue. I hope people don't go back to old habits. But we've just kind of got to follow on from that momentum and try and continue the good work we are doing, and keep pushing our story, pushing the good message of what we're doing.
What in sort of for the younger generation? I don't count myself as a younger generation anymore. I did a few years ago, but for the younger generation, what do you see as the biggest challenge in farming and in agri-politics?
One thing I think for our industry is the biggest threat to our industry, I think, is probably through mental health and farm safety. I mean, the figures are just terrifying. I think in the UK there was more than one person working in agriculture a week commit suicide.
Yeah, serious.
And I think in Scotland last year there was up to 14, I think, and there was 2 fatalities in Scotland. And well, the Farm Safety Week is the 19th of July it starts, so the figures for 2020 will be released then.
Right.
And I think we're going to see a big rise in figures, especially mental health, just through isolation and through lockdown. It was hard on everyone, and I think those figures will be shown. And the scary thing from the farm safety side is, past few years it's been machinery that's caused most deaths, but I think this year we're going to see a big rise in livestock, and I think there's been 5 general public members killed from livestock in 2020, and that's probably just through the general public being out in the countryside more, and probably not being aware of where they're walking, and taking probably dogs, walking dogs through livestock, and not being aware of how to control them or how the animals will react.
Yeah, I don't do a lot on social media, but I see bits and pieces, and you read someone on Facebook and it's somebody's been in a field with their dog, and the amount of people that are saying it's stupid, but all it takes is one.
Yeah.
And you're talking about mental health. Farmers, there's you and your father at home. I'm here on my own, so a lot of time you are on your own. And during lockdown, you weren't able to see friends, you weren't able to go and socialise, you weren't able to mix, so it makes it even worse.
Yeah, I think, well, your phone ringing there, it kind of highlights the point. It's important that we are all picking up the phone and checking in with friends and family. I mean, we've not had any shows. The show season's a great time when everyone gets to meet, catch up with people that they're friends with from college, or people they've met through young farmers that they've, have moved away, and it's a great chance to meet up with everyone that you don't see all year round. But if you can pick up the phone and just, 5-10 minute conversation just to catch up with everyone, it does great for them, but it's great for yourself as well.
Yes, I know.
It's a release.
Chatting. Well, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
A long time
Not
ago.
in person anyway. Yeah.
You stayed 15-20 minutes along the road.
Yeah.
So you're talking about mental health. I mean, our SABI do a serious amount for mental health, but the young farmers had a great strapline, "Are you okay?"
Yep.
And I think that's raised awareness in the young farmers side in the farming industry. Because I think farmers tend to think, well, I'm big tough, I'm butch, I don't suffer from mental problems, but we have exactly the same problems as or we have the same chance as everybody else.
Yeah.
But we just maybe don't talk about it.
Yeah, I think there's still a stigma, and we've just got to keep fighting that and keep pushing the message. The Are You OK campaign's been brilliant, and I think this year we're hoping to relaunch it and push it again, just off the back of COVID and all the issues it raised. But yeah, I think we just need to keep fighting that stigma and keep pushing the word, and just keep checking in with friends and family and making sure everyone's all right. And if we keep doing that, I mean, if you phone a friend and they offload onto you and that helps them and prevents a suicide or something, then that's it's one less life. It's great.
No, it was just I think it was on the back of the Are You OK? Somebody who'd had a family member commit suicide. They were very open about their experience, and it brought a tear to your eye, but it was quite amazing just hearing somebody that's, I can't know if it's a brother or a sister, but it brings it home to you that there's a lot of lonely people, a lot of people out there alone, maybe not lonely, but they're alone, and just having a young farmer's social life, get out there and have fun, enjoy yourself. And
I think as we're now coming out of lockdown and things are opening up again, we still need to be aware that there will be a lot of people that actually almost enjoyed lockdown, you know, have a bit of social anxiety, aren't outgoing people, and we need to sort of encourage them to come out again, but just be aware that, you know, social anxiety is a big issue as well. So there's still going to be mental health issues even when we're coming out of lockdown and things are back to normal, because it affects everyone in different ways.
This could go on for a long time yet. The repercussions of COVID, not just the people that have had COVID and died from COVID, but the long term
effects.
So no, it's quite serious. No, I suppose that's something you don't think about at the beginning. You just think, there's been a lot of people had COVID. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of people died from COVID, but there's been a lot of people affected by it that we won't know.
Well, the families left behind, it's has a massive effect on them. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you might just sort of more light-hearted note. You mentioned you're a farmer, as we know. You didn't do farming at college. What brought you home? Did you just? I mean, farming's obviously in a lot of people's blood. It's obviously in yours.
Yeah. So yeah, it was sports engineering I did at Strathclyde in Glasgow. So I had 4 years through in Glasgow, and that was sort of designing sports equipment. So not really anything to do with farming or agriculture. And then graduated in 2018 and came home. So that's about 3 years I've been home now. But yeah, probably just the love of being outdoors, and no day's the same, every day's different. You get stuck in with machinery, livestock. It's just in the blood, I guess. It's all I've really known growing up, working on the farm with Dad, and it is actually surprising. There has been a bit of crossover from my degree. Some things I have used, sort of product design stuff. Like to do a wee bit in the workshop myself, and I'm not saying I'm any good, but yeah, I can stick stuff together well done.
I think just having a bit technical nous, you can see how things work and why they work, and it's not just like sort of big hammer you need nowadays. It's a bit more technical, but and I'm sure on a nice sunny day like this, being in East Newcastle, there's not a better place in the world.
No, in the kingdom, we're
lucky. No, it's quite. And the sun always shines on Beaumont, I'm sure.
I wish I could say that in May, but yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Ali, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your year.
Thanks, Bill.
I hope you have a lot of trips away. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.